Infernal Blessings. We are back with another video. Was a little busy. Didn't really get the opportunity to do any videos over the weekend. I was on the road traveling. Little man's hockey. Routine this time of the year. Anyway, before we begin, a couple quick announcements. So here we are. Final week. This is it. Last couple of days for the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference. If you are looking to attend, please cutoff date would be this Wednesday to give us actually Thursday morning would be the official cutoff, which is the 22nd by the AM. So you still have time if you want to register and sign up to come in person. Also, you can attend virtually. We do have some guest speakers, some presentations. We're going to keep that under wraps until the itinerary comes out. So we've changed it up a little bit this year, giving it a bit of a different approach as far as how we're going to cover it. So it's going to be a fun time for those that are able to come in person, the 20th to the 22nd. We do have the meet and greet on the 19th. But we'll see how that goes as far as who else will sign up. But Wednesday would be the cutoff, or going into very early Thursday morning. All right. Again, classes, workshops, presentations, rituals, two big group rituals on Friday and Saturday evening. And then I will top the event off on Sunday with a question and answer session from noon to 4 p.m. All right. Shoot me an email and I'll send you information on either coming in person or signing up virtually. The email is khnum19@gmail.com. As of the recording of this video, today, October 16th, I will not be able to schedule or book any readings for the remainder of this week. So having said that, if you are interested in a reading or a consultation, okay, which I would have to schedule beginning early next week. I cannot schedule any more readings, consultations, that coupled with mentorship calls. I just have to put it on pause for a few days. So I ask everybody's patience. Please understand. Once this week is out and the conference is finished, I will get back to normal the following week. But if you're interested in a spiritual reading or a consultation, I offer various different readings and consultations: Klipothic demonic readings, Egyptian oracle readings, Santa Muerte readings, shadow work readings, deity readings. Shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com, and I will send you a full list of readings that I do offer and how to book a reading or a spiritual consultation. All right. Also, if you are interested in signing up for classes, all of my classes I do on Patreon. The official Primordial Chaos Patreon page can be located at patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. And tier 3 is the tier you want to join, and that gives you access to the 3 private classes I do every month on Patreon, including the group ritual we do at the end of the month. Also, when you join, because everybody always asks this, it gives you access to everything in the archive before you joined or signed up. So you don't just get access to the classes from the day you join moving forward, you get access to everything in the archive, which is a very large amount of classes and content. Also, it's different. It's not like what I just do here on YouTube. We go much more in depth. We could talk about things there in that setting that I won't talk about on YouTube. There's ritual work, exercises, work that accompanies the classes. That's what the Patreon is for. It's designed for those that want to take their spiritual path, their path of self-mastery to that next level. That's why we do it. So again, it's totally different from what I do here on YouTube. If you're interested and you want to take your path to that next level, check it out. All right, patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti, tier 3. That's the tier you want to join. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Primordial Chaos, 2 words, where I also upload these new short videos and tutorials. And check us out on Instagram, Primordial Chaos 9, one word. And also don't forget to check out the Primordial Chaos podcast, where all this new content is uploaded in audio format, so you can listen to it while you're driving, exercising, walking in the park, chilling around the house, whatever it is you're doing. The podcast is available on Spotify, all major podcast platforms. The direct link to the podcast, along with my contact email, the information on the social media pages, and the direct link to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page to sign up for classes. All of that is in the description box of this video that you are currently watching right now. All right, you see the title. I want to talk about freedom of speech, cancel culture, and how everybody's uptight and too motherfucking sensitive. All right, but let me make this disclaimer very early in this video. I am not anti anything, all right? I'm not anti, sexual preference. I'm not against or anti-specific on any social issues, but I do have my own personal stance on it. And that's why I wanted to do this video. What's going on out here today is fucking repulsive. And I'm going to tell you why. They're trying to eliminate complete freedom of speech. When it comes, if it's critical race theory, if it's cancel culture, again, if it's your stance on transgender, the LGBTQ community, if it's sexual preference, if it's the pronoun thing, there's so much being thrown at people. And I just want to make this clear. I'm not anti any of those things, but I can have my own opinion and stance on it. But the problem is, if your opinion and your stance on a specific social issue isn't in alignment with what they want you to be, then all of a sudden it's an issue. They want to either cancel you, they want to make false accusations on you, anything to get a story to make their movement or big up their movement that's going to give them more attention. I'm talking, when I say any movement on any of these issues. I don't care if it's BLM, Black Lives Matters, any of these things. Okay, I don't care for any of that shit. As far as taking a stance, I'm pro-choice on any of those issues. Okay, but here's the problem: pro-choice doesn't mean just agreeing with what everybody else agrees with. See, that's the problem. So if you have your own opinion, that's also pro-choice. The problem is with a lot of these movements and a lot of these things going on in society today, you can't have an opinion in opposition to what their group stands for. And I'm putting them all as a whole. I'm not singling out anyone. Okay? I have my own personal perspective on things, and nobody's going to change that. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if you like it, love it, hate it, disagree with it, you don't care. You're not going to change. What we're supposed to have, and they're taking away for us, is our right for free speech. Okay? They're trying to, whether it's in the schools, and I don't really talk about a lot of social or political issues, but occasionally we got to address this because it could affect how they're even trying to control your spiritual choices. They're trying to take your freedom of that away. Okay? As I told you, this whole war to control your mind is every facet of your life. They want to control what spirituality, or how you quote unquote, or what you accept as your form of spirituality. They want to tell you what your gender should and should not be. And they're even trying to pass laws that they don't want you to give a newborn child a gender until they turn 2. That is fucking bizarre to me. Okay? I don't agree with that shit. Okay? What does a 2-year-old know that at 2 years old about that? Can we just, if you got a penis, you're a man. If you got a vagina, let's not open that can of worms. But my whole point is, it is against our freedom of speech and constitutional right to force any of those things down our throat. And again, I'm not going to get on the flip side of each one because, people are so sensitive nowadays. I sit here and think back, just going back if you go back to the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, can you just imagine some of the movies, TV shows, and comedians? Let's just look at the comedian thing for an example. Okay, if you go back and remember listening to Eddie Murphy Raw, Richard Pryor, Red Fox, George Carlin, one of my favorite comedians, George Carlin, who talked about a lot of these political issues and didn't talk about it in a favorable way. A lot of these guys would be canceled right out the gate. Look what they did to Dave Chappelle. And they twisted what they did to Dave Chappelle. They made it sound like he was bashing the LGBTQ community and homosexuality. That's not what he was doing. But Dave Chappelle has a right to have his own perspective on it. He did not, in no way, shape, form, or fashion, they took what he was saying out of context. This is the shit that I'm talking about. But can you imagine like Eddie Murphy Raw or Eddie Murphy Comedian coming out in 2023, going into 2024, whatever? Can you imagine the uproar? But I'm saying that to say in such a short period of time, when did we become so fucking uptight? When did we become so sensitive where now you got to walk on eggshells? You can't talk like that. You can't have a sense of humor. You can't make jokes. You can't say things, this, that, or the other. And don't tell me bullshit, it's not right, this and that, and get on your whole liberal political, everybody's, we're all equal, we love everybody, kumbaya shit. Because we lived for many years back then and people didn't have an issue with this shit. We were able to laugh at each other. Okay? Whether it was about race or whether it was about culture, upbringing, right? You might look back on it now and go, oh yeah, some of that stuff was fucked up, because you're looking at it how you've been programmed to look at it in the now. But back then, I remember shit. I remember growing up, and we grew up in a very diverse melting pot. You had Latinos, blacks, Asians, various different Middle Eastern ethnicities. You name it. We all grew up around each other, and we used to snap on each other, crack on each other, make fun of each other. Right? I'm not talking about when you're bashing somebody, making fun of them, and bullying. That's one thing. Bullying should never be done. Bullying was being done back then too. It was the same shit. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, when did we get so uptight and lose our sense of humor? Where you can't laugh at anything anymore. You got to walk on eggshells. You got to be careful what you say. You got to be. So where is this quote unquote freedom of speech in the Constitution? Do we really have true freedom of speech? But see, what you keep forgetting is the people that make the rules also have the ability to change the rules of the game. That's why they got something called an amendment. When you amend something, you change it. So they can go in anytime they want and amend or change whatever the fuck it is they want to change. So my question is, do you really have freedom of speech? Yes, the Constitution claims you do. Okay? Supposedly. But the way things are trending, it's starting to look like we don't. The other thing I want to talk about is, real quick, because this is all tied in. Do we really have the right to bear arms? Now, this is a touchy subject. I believe every citizen, legitimate citizen, has the right to bear arms. That's their constitutional right. I do think we need stricter gun screening laws. Okay? Okay, I just want to make that clear. I don't think you can prevent anybody, according to our Constitution, from bearing arms. But if we see mental illness, if they're not passing certain screen checks, we got to do better. If a kid walks into, as a gun owner, where does common sense kick in? We see some of these shootings, these kids just legally turn 18, they go buy a fucking semi-automatic weapon. That should be a red flag to a gun owner. You look at his ID, you see he just recently turned 18. What does an 18-year-old kid or a young teenager need with semi-automatic weapons and tons of ammunition? Okay, we got to do a better job on screening shit, red flagging shit, because this is how we can prevent some of these tragedies. The solution isn't taking weapons out of people's hands. It's doing a better job of whose hands we're putting the weapons into. Okay? So I'm all for people having the freedom and the constitutional right of bearing arms. Okay? But we got to do a little bit better job of screening to prevent some of these mass shootings. Okay? And I'm not talking about some of these ridiculous gun control laws. I'm talking about just put more detailed screening laws. Gun owners see something like that, they should report that, put it on some type of watch list, and look into it further. There's no reason why an 18-year-old needs a semi-automatic weapon or weapons and tons of ammunition. I mean, something should click in a person's head. Okay? Something should click. Something should go off. Okay? But I'm saying all this, whether it's gun control laws, whether it's, everything that's going on with, this transgender movement, the BLM movement, all these different things. It's all part of a system to control the way you think. Okay? And we've lost our ability to be free thinkers. And like I say, as time goes on, day by day, week by week, month by month, they're taking away our freedom of speech. And they'll cancel you in a minute. They say you got freedom of speech, but as soon as you say something against what they're saying is the norm, or what you're supposed to accept as the norm, then there's a problem. They start to make, you just see it. Just look how things have drastically changed in the last 10 to 15 years. I told you, they're out here with all this artificial intelligence, AI technology, and it's dumbing people down. AI is making people lazy. I was sharing, and I want to share with you guys if I didn't share it here, I was sharing with people on the Patreon class on Saturday. There's an interview on the show Drink Champs, which Nori does, the rapper Nori does, which has obviously become very big the last couple of years. They have a YouTube channel, but they also have it on cable on a channel called Revolt. And recently they had Big Daddy Kane on. And Big Daddy Kane was dropping a lot of jewels on there about this AI intelligence, how they're trying to control every facet of our life and the way we think, this, that, and the other. And he said, though he doesn't really, or hasn't made a studio album in a long time, he still tours. And he said if he goes to a venue with, say, 10,000 people, he's going to say almost 7,000 people had their phones out recording. Spend most of the time during the concert. Pay attention to this, because this shit is deep. They spend most of the time during the concert filming the concert, have their phones up the whole time, rather than when we used to go to concerts, we used to participate and engage with the performer and be into the performance and be into the show. Now you see this new generation, they're more worried about posting it on their Facebook page, capturing video footage. They're not even focused on being at the concert, having fun, enjoying the experience, and engaging in the experience. That's technology and AI trying to take over, trying to control everything. Okay, it's making people lazy. It's dumbing people the fuck down. Okay? And when he said that, shit just dawned on me. I'm like, this shit is deep. I said, when I'm telling you people that there is a war for the control of your mind, I'm not playing when I say that. Okay? And there's a reason why they call artificial intelligence people, because it's not real. Yeah, I understand the science behind it. I understand the technology. I understand the great capabilities of it, this and that. But nobody's talking about the downside to it, how it's dumbing down people's natural creativity, how it's making people fucking lazy. Okay? And how it's stripping that natural human element to existence as a whole. Okay? So there's an upside and a downside. There's a flip side to this shit. Okay? And all of this is part of the process of not giving you the ability to have your own freedom of speech. Really your own thoughts at all. It's even fucking deeper than that. It's not just freedom of speech. It's your thoughts, period. If they can find ways to control the way you think, the way you feel, what you eat, what choices and decisions you make, where you shop. And I've been saying to people for years, people are under the illusion that you have choices in this world for the most part. Okay? Like I said many times before in the past, if you go out shopping and you say, I'm going to go down to the mall, I'm going to buy me some sneakers, some clothes, this, that, or the other. You get down and you go, oh, wow, so many choices upon choices. The question is, who put those choices there? You didn't create the choices. They gave you options, but they still are controlling. And this is how they're able to monitor your behavior, your buying patterns, places you frequent, things you like. It tells them a lot about the type of person you are. Just like they scan through your history on your internet. And please, don't think a VPN blocks anything. Don't think because you erase anything off your computer, your phone, they can pull anything off of a hard drive. Even after it's been erased, they can ping your phone. They can do a bunch of shit. Okay, so if you're under that illusion and you think, I got a VPN, a virtual provider, and it protects me, or I've erased, or I got an encrypted connection. Okay, believe that bullshit if you want. Believe that if you want. Okay? It's like I said in the past, there's a reason when it first came out, they referred to it as the World Wide Web. Okay? And you can look at a web, when a spider weaves a web, it can represent creating things, regeneration and renewal, or it can mean capturing things, controlling things, in the web of the spider. So it's not a coincidence when the internet first started blowing up, we used to refer, that's what for all you newer, younger generation, that's what, and you don't really use that anymore when you're putting something in a search engine. But back in the day, the www you see in front of the websites, that stood for the World Wide Web. That's what the www was. So it was a web or a network. That's what the internet is, a web and a network that keeps you in their web. Okay? And it's deep now because with these search engines, with Google and these websites, like I said before, it's fucking crazy how you can just be searching sneakers. And then all of a sudden you go on Facebook or Instagram or some other social media platform, YouTube. I've seen it happen on YouTube. Advertisement comes up for them sneakers you were just looking at on the search engine. Okay? And then now what they're trying to do is implant the impulse thought to buy. So you go, man, I was just looking at them Nikes. Oh, here they pop up again. It's that to create that stronger impulse to buy. And it's called feeding off of your emotions, that's a bad thing for what we call an impulse buyer, somebody who really struggles to budget money and just buys off of pure impulse. That's an impulse buying. And they have a whole marketing thing geared towards impulse buying. It's like if you go to any of these retail stores, usually look where you check out at, where you pay for your merchandise. Look at all the items around. It could be candy, small, and they call that impulse. They set up a section with all these items that are impulse buys. And we're all guilty. We've all done it here and there. And many times over the years, how many times you've been checking out the counter, you see something, they know you're checking out, they're getting ready to finalize the sale, your mind runs, oh, throw that in there real quick. You grab something that you see off of pure impulse. And then sometimes you get outside and go, what the fuck I buy this for? I ain't even need this shit. Like a lot of good retail chains, I know Burlington is really good with that, Kohl's. A lot of these places are really good with setting up displays that are geared towards impulse buying. Because they know that's how we are. Humans are very reactionary creatures. So all of these things, you may not think they're big things, but all of these things are ways that they get up inside your head and try to program you on how you should think, how you should feel, what stance you should take on this, that, or the other, the whole nine. And this is why I say we've lost our freedom. of speech, in my opinion. You can't just say what you want anymore. Okay? And I'm not talking about, look, when I'm saying freedom of speech, I'm talking about obviously being respectable, right? I'm not talking about some idiot that just rambles on with some hateful shit, some hateful jargon, whatever it's in reference to. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about somebody who intellectually, in a very sound, harmonious way, voices their opinion. I have no problem with that, whether you agree with it or not. Because guess what? Wake up call, message. People need to really get themselves grounded back into motherfucking reality. If you are a delusional person and thinks there's gonna come a day where everybody is on one accord and agrees with everything together in unison in the same way, you are more fucking delusional than anybody that ever existed. Okay? Because that will never happen. And I'll put money on it. It ain't gonna happen while anybody at this current moment that's living, breathing, and walking this earth. It will never happen. Okay? That's the problem. It's these false concepts and ideologies that they want this whole everybody's included shit. It's inclusive. We're all inclusive. Okay? You think that all these different ethnicities, genders, transgenders, different sexual preference, you think that if you really think one day you're going to get up and everybody's going to respect everybody and love everybody, and then, man, you're more fucking delusional than delusional itself. Okay? Not going to happen, people. And don't let anything or anybody dumb you down or prevent you from exercising your freedom of speech or having your own opinion or stance on something. And regardless if that opinion or stance is in opposition to what everybody else is. Okay? Because that's freedom of speech. If you exercise it respectively, nobody should interfere, block, or do anything about it. Okay? And the problem I'm seeing is now, a lot of these different movements, all the aforementioned earlier, seem to be okay when you're okay with their agenda. But as soon as you have a difference of opinion, then it's let's attack. Oh, you're hateful. Well, I've seen them do this to multiple people. You're hateful. Oh, you're bashing. You're doing this, that, and the other. Oh, and it's like, no, the person has their own opinion. And they exercise that through their freedom of speech and not in a hateful way. Why do you got to make it something it's not? Because they disagree with your movement's agenda? And I'm just saying movement as a whole because I'm including all these movements I mentioned earlier. Okay? No, that's not how this shit works. So I'm simply saying all this to say, don't let nobody suppress your freedom of speech. Don't let nobody change your stance on things for your own personal reasons and for anything else. Okay? Nobody should be able to have the right to do that to you or anybody else. Okay? Excuse me. Long weekend. Long day. But that's my whole point. This cancel culture shit is out of control. You can't go back and try to rewrite the history. So you could take down all the Confederate statues you want. You could take Aunt Jemima off the pancake bottle. You could take Uncle Ben off the rice box. You could take the police Paw Patrol character off of the cartoon. If it's not defund the police, racism, this, that, and the other, it's not going to change the history. And some of that stuff, in my opinion, needs to remain there so people can never forget their history. And regardless, now all of it obviously is going to be pleasant. But see, we live in a society now where cancel culture will fix everything. It fixes everything. Just cancel it out. We're good. No. It doesn't change the history, though. Okay? And I think all aspects of history need to be studied in depth from all sides and facets. World history, that is. Yes, American history, because if we live in America, We need to know the American history, regardless if it's not something that's going to be pleasant and we like. Because there's a lot of deep, dark secrets of America's history. From how America obtained its power, to how they built this country on the back of slavery and Africans. That's real. That needs to be in place so we always have that history to learn from. Not cancel. Well, take that Robert E. Lee statue down in Mississippi or Georgia. Do you think that's going to change those people? If there's hateful people, taking a Robert E. Lee Confederate statue down is not going to change the hatred. It might give you some temporary victory, some momentarily moral victory, and that's okay, but long term, what do we really accomplish? Because what happens is if we take that down and then the next young child comes along and it's, well, who's this statue? Who's this Robert Lee? That's where we can step in and correct the history by explaining he's such and such and this and that happened. Now we're educating the youth coming up, right, as opposed to just trying to cancel everything out and bury it. Like, that's the answer. Just cancel it. What do you think? That's going to make it go away? You know what that's like? Just for an example. And you really would have to be a football fan to understand this analogy. That's just like a lot of these sports teams that have had to change their name because they have names in a lot of sport teams that are offensive to the so-called Native American tribes. And I guess it's the matter of the way you look at it. I think they honor the warrior-like nature of a lot of these tribes. But let me give you an example. Two very popular franchises in major sports. Football, the Washington Redskins, who are known as the Redskins, now known as the Commanders, and the Cleveland Indians, now known as the Guardians. The problem is, you could change the names, but I guarantee you, any honest person will tell you, I still look at the Washington as the Redskins. I still can't register them as the Commanders. Neither can I. I still look at the Cleveland Indians as the Indians, not the Guardians. Okay? So they think even in sports they use cancel culture, and they think that's going to change things. It's one team, though, I will say, has stood strong and refuses to bow, to fold. And hopefully it lasts, but it looks like it will. Are the Atlanta Braves, right? They have been approached, the Chicago Blackhawks in the NHL. They have been asked and approached, and they refuse. Okay? Now I know there's gonna be a difference of opinion on it. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to the Native American tribes. It just depends on your perspective of that. I think more so it gives more attention to indigenous culture. Okay? Now, you could disagree with that. You could think some of you're entitled to it. But again, it is my right and freedom of speech to also express verbally my own opinion. And if I'm doing it in a way that is harmless, it's not causing physical harm, it's not in a very aggressive, violent, or dangerous way, guess what? Suck it up, cupcake. Suck it up there, tenderloin. Suck it up there, Mr. or Mrs. Sensitive. Suck it up. Because guess what? All the cancel culture in the world, all the conformist indoctrination that they're putting out, I know, I'll speak for myself, it ain't going to change the way I think or the way I feel. And I also accept with that, not everybody's going to agree the way that I think or feel. And guess what? I'm okay with that. It's okay. This is not about you convincing the entire world of your personal stance on everything. It's okay. Let it go. Okay? So that's it. I kind of wanted to run through that. I kind of wanted to go through the ins and outs of that. Don't let them strip us of that, people. Don't let them take away our freedom of speech, the ability to express our thoughts and our opinions. But don't let them take it away from you. All right? Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this one as I am back in. And remember, if you need to get a hold of me, you're interested in a spiritual reading or a consultation, if you are interested in signing up for the 6th Annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference, shoot me an email at khnum19@gmail.com, and I will get that information over to you as soon as I can. Also, keep in mind my contact email address, the direct link to the Primordial Chaos podcast, the social media pages, the direct link to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page to sign up for classes. All of those links and information is in the description box of this video you are watching right now. That's going to do it for me. Infernal blessings. We'll talk soon.